Good evening, everybody. It's Christine McGee here at Magooz News. Happy almost 2017. I hope you all had an awesome sauce set of holidays and Santa was good to you. I hope he brought you everything you needed and most of what he wanted. Thank you for all the cards and best wishes and the notes and emails and texts that you sent to me. I really appreciate them. I read them all, I promise, even if I can't respond to them all. I really do appreciate them. And those of you who have been sending me topics and issues you'd like to talk about, I appreciate those the most because that is what we do here. We talk about stuff. And I think we've talked about some really good stuff in the last year. We've had some most awesome guests. We've had I Love First Peoples with the Attawapiskat Shoebox Project, and we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on. We had Lenita Erickson, who's a world-class singer she sung with Ted Nugent, sung backup for Kiss, for tons of other bands, and she's the executive director of the Animal Action Network. We took a trip on an F-17 with the show demo team from the Canadian Forces at the Abbotsford Air Show. We were everywhere, and we did all kinds of fun things, and everything that I did, I tried to share with you and take you with me, and I promise this year is going to be even better. This is my first year doing the radio show, so it was a bit of a big learning curve for me, and I think we put together some really great stuff between me and you guys. And I'm really looking forward to this year because I've been well known throughout my life for being fairly opinionated and outspoken on the things that are close to my heart. And as I've been digging for stuff, I tend to be pretty tenacious, and I'm even going to go so far as to say rude sometimes when I feel that something's not right with the price of tea in China. And I have this inherent social justice ethos that I just believe in right and wrong. And I believe it's important that we treat people as we want to be treated. And I don't think that should just necessarily be a New Year's Eve resolution. New Year's resolutions are a funny thing because every year, almost everybody I know, whether they admit it or not, has some sort of resolution. And you've heard of all the common ones. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to eat better and lose 20 pounds. I don't know. But how about, what would happen? Imagine what the world would be like if we woke up every day with that sort of ambition. If we just woke up and said, today, I'm going to be just a little bit better than I was yesterday. I think the world might be a little bit better today than it was yesterday if people looked at things that way. Recently, I had a very interesting conversation with a friend of mine, and it seems like there was a lot of change in 2016, especially here in Canada. Well, and I guess in the States too, if you're listening from there. Hi, guys. Pipelines, right? I live in BC. I live right on the coast in Vancouver Island, and pipelines are a dirty word around here. I understand that, we all enjoy our fossil fuels. Hey, I like hot showers and driving my car too, as much as the next guy. But I'm not sure that we need to be sacrificing all of our natural resources to get those things. And I think that there are better ways, and at risk of sounding somewhat like a conspiracy theorist, I believe that there's money to be made in not letting the public know how many other ways there are to get these things done. So I was having a conversation with my friend Ellie, and generally when we talk about stuff, it's fairly light and fluffy girlfriend chat. But for whatever reason this day, and I know what the reason was, both of us had lived in this complex at one time, and it was on the corner of a pretty busy street, but for about two big house lots on the east side of us was complete forest. And it was a nice little break from the highway that was behind us. And like I say, the busy road that sort of surrounded us. And there was this private little sanctuary that we could see right out our windows. And earlier this year, they wiped that out to put up a fourplex. And there is not a single tree left on that lot. And I'd driven past it many times, and I thought about it, and I thought, wow, that really stinks, because that was just kind of a really kind of cool little gem in our community there. And lots of people hung out in this green space. As crazy as it sounds, it was just this little plop of forest in the middle of nowhere. And, young people went there a lot to party. Everybody went there to walk their dogs. Those of us that were good people picked up our poop. Those of us that weren't, didn't. Well, not my poop, but my dog's. And it really was this really cool little bit of heaven in the middle of all of these houses. And we were chatting about it, and we were looking out the window, and she said to me, she said, yeah, she said, I miss that forest. And I said, yeah, it's a real bummer. Like, it just kind of hurts a little bit every time I drive past it. And she said, yeah, well, you weren't here the day that they tore down all those trees. And I moved out, ironically, I moved out of the complex the same day that she moved in. And so I've been seeing the progress, because I visit my friend quite frequently. And we were actually sort of looking at the window, and she said to me, well, you were not here the day that they tore down those trees. And you did not have to listen to the mother bird sitting on the telephone wires crying her heart out for days because her nest and her little babies were demolished in those trees. And you weren't here the day that all of the mice and the rats and the raccoons and everybody else that lived in that habitat came scurrying out of there like it was the revelation. And she kind of went off on this rant in a way that I had never really thought of. And I'm not probably going to do it justice. And I asked her to come and talk about it, but she immediately got really shy. She was like, no, not going to do that, Christine. But the way that she put it was so powerful. She said, like, I will forever be haunted by the sounds of those birds for the sake of progress, for the sake of money. And it really struck me. But the other thing that she started going into, too, was about these pipelines and the earth and our environment. And she said, we keep digging for oil and we keep pulling water out of the ground. And she said, and what do we use oil for? We put oil in our engines to cool them. Christine, to cool them, she said, to get it. She said, why get it? Why do you think that our earth is getting hotter? We're pulling out the water, we're pulling out the oil, and we're leaving these huge gaping caverns in the world that are causing earthquakes. She said, we look around and go, gee, we don't understand why we're having all these earthquakes. Well, lots of scientists clearly understand why. Because we're pulling out all of the Earth's natural lubricants. And I had never thought of it like that. I have read tons of articles about the science. I have heard both sides of the argument. As everybody knows, I'm a news junkie. I try and keep my fingers on top of everything that's going on to the best of my ability. And I had thought about all of these issues really deeply. But I had never thought of it in such a concise and personal way. Like, we've only got one world. God isn't making any more of it. There's that old saying, if you want to get rich, buy real estate, because God ain't making any more land. And it's true. And it just really sort of put it into context for me. So in terms of New Year's resolutions, I'm going to try and be more aware of how I treat our planet. And she also said to me, why do you think whales are floating up on the ocean and they're dying of starvation, yet they're bloated? She said, because they're swallowing plastic bottles, thinking that they're food, so they're feeling full, they're not eating anymore, and then they die of malnutrition. And I'm going, whoa, I drink a lot of bottled water. So I am now carrying a reusable water bottle. It's a little thing. It's just a little thing, and in the grand scheme of things, will it make a difference? Absolutely not. But maybe. Maybe if we all just did a little bit today, a little better than we did yesterday, we can make a difference. Wouldn't you rather be a part of the solution than the problem? You know, and it's interesting because people have said that there was a survey done by Angus Reid, and it was a very interesting survey because it polled Canadians, and it said whether they thought that this past year had been good or bad for themselves, their country, or the world, and the world at large. And shocker, Canadians really had a very view of all three. An equal 31% said that the year was good and bad on a personal level, although the number changed to 38% as it was viewed for Canada, and only 25% saw it as good. So that's, 38%, that's coming up to half of our country who thought that this past year was really a stinky year, and that's not so good. So I'm hoping that this next year will be better, but the polls were interestingly dramatically changed when you talked to people in the States who 65% of them felt that this year was crappy. And 65%, 2/3 of your country think that it was a crappy year, and then you elect Trump? Anybody home? It ain't gonna get any better. I have yet to pull off on a Christine rant about Trump because he has yet to do anything super stupid that I'm aware of. Although I'm already aware of some stuff that I have been told not to bring up. And there's quite a few stories where people have said, nah, Christine, you shouldn't talk about that. And I've decided that there's enough of you out there that send me messages or make comments about politically incorrect or controversial things that if you each put in $5, I'll be able to make bail when they come and get me. So this year, the gloves are coming off. I am going mano a mano with the issues, with the people who are making the issues, and I consider myself a fair and reasonable-minded person. If you present me with the facts and the evidence, and you are right and I am wrong, I will concede and I will apologize. But I'm going to hold out and expect the same for some of these people and for some of these issues. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of what was crappy about this last year for me. And you guys were all kind of a part of it. As many of you know, Magooz News got really behind the I Love First Peoples initiative to send shoeboxes of gifts to kids up to Attawapiskat on December 9th. And I just want to give a big, huge heart hug, loud shout out to our corporate sponsors who just came through in spades. And as you hear this story, you're going to go, wowza, like there are some good people out there. And I always seem to find more good than bad, but I think this story is going to shock you a little bit. It certainly shocked me and made me laugh, and certainly made me cry at some points, and actually made me really want to punch some people. Especially someone who kept calling me Miss Nedra. Nedra is my first name. Nobody calls me that but my mother when I'm in an awful lot of trouble, and even then, she probably hasn't called me that since I was 12. Not that I haven't been in trouble since I was 12, but we won't go there right now. So I want to give a huge shout out to Show Home Furniture. Came in as a huge corporate sponsor. Janet's Specialties, the manager Al at Save On Foods in Victoria, Hypersport, donated a whole bunch of little slippers. They were so adorable and warm. And a big, huge hug to